Hello, 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 everybody.
Hey.
What's going on, Paul? How are you, my friend?
Good. What's up?
It's a good day. It's a good day to have a good day, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Who's got something exciting that they want to share? Some good news, some exciting news, anything cool that they want to share? We'll get started here in just about 1 minute.
My son in Australia just got active.
Wow. Where do they live in Australia? Who is this, by the way?
This is Lisa Wilkinson.
Hey,
My
Lisa.
husband is Mike Wilkinson.
Good to hear from you, Lisa. Congratulations on getting Australia going. That's cool. What part of Australia?
He lives in Melbourne.
I love Melbourne. That's such a good-looking place. I love it. I love it.
So soon he's going to be able to afford to pay to send me there.
I love all the little patio kind of little restaurants. You can sit out on the patios, little kind of coffee shops, and quaint little place. All right. How's everybody else doing today? Mr. Deutsch, how are you today?
I am freaking awesome. Thanks for asking.
Freaking awesome, huh?
That's right.
Why don't you tell everybody what happened last night? Tell everybody the exciting news for you.
Well, we just signed on a new person, Judy, who was questioning, hemming and hawing, and then had her come on, do a three-way call with Travis, and it was one of those kind of calls where Travis didn't have a lot of time, but he spent the time anyway. We took like 15 minutes, and most of the time Judy was chatting, and I'm like, Judy, I gotta get Travis on the phone, and finally got. And then she signed on as the all-in pack. So I'm just trying to get her started. I was trying to get her on this call today, right now, but she's out. And, hopefully, Travis, you're recording this?
Yes.
Awesome. I want to send that to her.
Great job, David.
Yeah, thank you. And then one other thing, it's kind of funny, Steve and I did that launch video, the launch one we did. Was it about a week ago? A little over a week ago? And,
Yeah.
Even this morning, I had 2 more messages. Someone said, hey, I just saw your Facebook video. Like, what's going on? So, that thing just is still out there and still going. So that was kind of cool.
Well, the interesting thing about launch videos, and even when you come out and you publicly tell people, what you guys have to understand is
the US file, I haven't seen it yet. I was going to email you, but my email's not sending, so I just wanted to come and tell you.
Hey, Angelia, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I don't know how to mute this thing.
That's all right. I'm going to mute you for you. All right. So the interesting thing about when you first come out and you make an announcement, hey, look, I'm excited about this new technology company I've gotten involved with. Here's why I'm doing it. And you go through that process is a lot of people are going to watch, but they're not going to take action. Very rarely does someone take action the first time. Think about the first time I got involved in network marketing. And at least for me, it took, I think, 5 invitations before I finally agreed to even look at the presentation. And my sponsor, Steve, was a good friend of mine, 2 doors down from me. And so it takes time. And so what you have to understand is when you come out and you do one of these public announcements, a lot of times people are going to just be watching. They want to know if you're serious. They want to know if you're committed. They really want to know if you're going to be here 30 days from now, or if in 30 days you're going to be promoting the next, opportunity. And so I think that I sponsored more people 30 days in after I had been here, and people started to see that I was serious than I did when I first even came out and made that announcement, David. So that's not a surprise to me at all. Not a surprise. Hello, hello.
Hi. Am I muted?
No, you're not. You got back in time?
No, I'm walking to the park with the kids. I just don't know how to mute. I'll mute myself. Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute out right now. I'm going to go through a couple of key points. I'm not going to keep everybody long today. The purpose of the huddles is just to kind of just share a few thoughts that are on my mind and give an opportunity to ask questions. I want to talk a little bit about as I'm seeing things as I go throughout the week. Sometimes I want to share those with the group. For those that can't make it at the times that we do a huddle, we'll just post this up in the group so everybody can access it a little bit later. So with that, let me get everybody muted out, and then we're going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay. So, first of all, I want to just talk about recruiting for just a moment because it is a process. And, one of my mentors, somebody that I respect tremendously, worked very closely with for a long time, a gentleman by the name of Curtis Broom, once said to me, Travis, when it comes to recruiting, you have to marry the process and you have to divorce the results. And it's so true because, if we get emotionally attached to the outcome, a lot of times this business can really be frustrating. It can, you can get really down on yourself if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, especially from the people that you thought were going to do this business. And so what I've learned to do is just to marry the process and divorce the results. I know that if I just continue to put people on first base and I don't concern myself with who's going to get picked off on first base or who's going to get thrown out at second base or who ultimately is going to get tagged out on third base, if I don't think about that at all and I continue to just focus on the things that I can control, which is just getting people in front of that 3-minute video and moving them around the bases, I know eventually some of those people are going to come in and score. And so, I want you guys to know when you come into this from a when you come into this from a recruiter's mentality, you have to separate yourself from the emotion. At the end of the day, it's just a process, and you just continue to go through the process day in and day out, over and over and over again. One of my favorite quotes was a gentleman by the name of Bill Britt, who was he was the top earner of Amway, and they asked Bill, they said, Bill, how did you make those millions of dollars? How did you have the kind of success that you wanted to have? And he says, well, it's pretty simple. I talked to 1,200 people. Out of the 1,200 people, 300 of them said yes. Out of the 300 people that said yes, 75 of them really did anything at all. And out of the 75, 12 of them made me a millionaire. And that's just all he did is he just committed to the process. And so, the first thing that I want everyone to do is just really just commit to the process. And I promise you that if you continue to keep doing it over and over again, another thing that's going to happen is that your competence is going to go up. There's a TED Talk out there. It's a really good TED Talk. And what this gentleman talked about was how, there's a book out there called Good to Great. And in this book about, they talk about the 10,000 hour rule. Some of you probably have read this book where it takes 10,000 hours before you can master any skill, any craft, whether it's playing the piano, becoming an expert at the guitar, any of those things. And one thing that he talked about that is highly overlooked is, yes, it takes 10,000 hours to become great at something. But what does it take to go from really bad to just really good at something? And the actual time frame that it takes to go from being really bad at something to just being good at something is 20 hours. And he actually goes on and he shows how he gives this example, how he picks up a ukulele and he decides to start taking lessons, and he take 20 hours of lessons. And when he first picked it up, he was terrible. And within 20 minutes, he learned 4 of the key chords, which I'm not a guitar player, but I think they're like C, D, and G or whatever. And he said that those chords make up approximately 85% of all songs that are out there today. So as a result of that, and that 20 hours and learning those 4 chords, he could play most of the songs that were on the radio today, and he learned that in 20 hours. And I share that with you because this is the same thing. Even if you think, oh, I'm a terrible recruiter or any of these things, the truth is if you just commit to the process and give it a little bit of time, yes, you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Honestly, I still make mistakes today. I will reach out to somebody and I get a response and I'm like, gosh, why did I say so much in the beginning? Or why did I do it that way? It's part of the process, and you just learn and you just keep going. So that's number one thing that I wanted to mention to everybody. Number 2, perspective. It's funny because I get people that get frustrated and they say, I've talked to everybody and nobody's interested. And here's the reality. The reality is that when you go and if you start out and first of all, you don't make a names list, you just start out and you think, I know a lot of people that make the mistake of saying, okay, if I just can get Steve Polchowski onto my team, I know that this is going to rock and roll for me. And if I can just get David and Sarah Fisher, that girl on Facebook, man, she's a fireball. And if I can just get her signed up into my team, man, they're definitely going to be interested in this. And so they join the business and they go out to Steve and David and Sarah, and one by one, Sarah says, oh, I'm already working on something else, but thank you. And David's just like, oh, no, thank you. I tried one of those long time ago and those things don't work. And then all of a sudden, you go to the 3 or 4 people that you thought would be amazing at this and they tell you no. And then all of a sudden it's like this perspective kind of sets in, and it's like, nobody is interested in these things. Everybody's against network marketing. I've talked to everybody and nobody's interested in the helo. And the reality is, have you really talked to everybody? Like, have every one of you guys really taken the time to pull out your phone? And I would challenge you to do this today. Start with A, count how many prospects you have with A. And then count with B. How many prospects do you have with B? And how many people that are in there are C? And how many are in there that are D? And you go through your entire list and put those names on a piece of paper. And then when you're done with that, go on to Facebook and go back the last 30 days and start looking at who interacts with you and put them on your list. And then go into your inbox and go back and look at the communications and the dialogue that you've had over the last year or even 2 years. And you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to that person in a while. Like, we've lost touch with each other, and put a list together. And I promise you're going to come up with a couple hundred names. And here's the thing. If you do that, and then you reach out to David and Steve and Sarah, and they're like, no, thank you. Guess what? You just cross them off your list because you still have a couple of hundred other people. And so it's really all about perspective. And while initially sometimes, you may be met with a little bit of resistance for whatever reason, and there's thousands of different reasons. It could be them. It could be the fact that maybe you've promoted a few different things in the last year and people are going to wait a little bit just to see if you're serious or not. You just got to keep things into proper perspective. So that's another thing that I wanted to share with everybody. The next thing is belief. A lot of times you can tell where someone's belief level is in themselves and in their opportunity by the people that they go and talk to, or the size of their list, right? Because if I truly believe, and I do, you guys, like I hope you heard it in my voice yesterday, because I believe with every fiber of my being that this opportunity is the best opportunity in network marketing, hands down. It's the best opportunity I've worked on in 12 years, and I firmly believe it'll probably be the best opportunity that I ever worked on in my career. And I firmly believe that, and I firmly believe that it has the power to be able to change your life, David, and your life, Sarah, and your life, Paul, and I genuinely believe that. And so because of that, I feel obligated to make sure that everybody that I know at least sees this. I don't have to convince them. I don't have to sell them the helo. I don't have to do anything other than just make sure that I at least notify them of what it is that I'm up to and give them the opportunity to take a look. And so that's my belief. And sometimes when you don't have that belief when you get started, you guys, you got to borrow somebody else's, borrow mine, borrow Sarah's, borrow Richie Hood's, borrow Johnny Josephson's, you plug into that. And that's why sometimes it's so critical to stay plugged in, because when you pop on these little what do we call them, hangouts or huddles that we're doing, or little team calls that we do, and you get on and you hear somebody's fire, their excitement, their enthusiasm. You hear that Sarah just sponsored her 4th person or 5th person yesterday. I don't know wherever you're at, Sarah. I think it was 4 or 5 by the end of the day yesterday. And then I think Johnny hit 5 yesterday. And you start hearing this and you start seeing that. What it does is your belief level goes like this a little bit, and it goes up a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's what you have to do. It's your responsibility as a leader to build that belief and fuel that fire for yourself. And that comes from plugging in. We make it pretty, in this team, we make these trainings and these things very accessible. More so than any other group that I've been a part of, where you can listen to them when you're driving home after work. You can listen to them when you're at the gym. You can listen to them when you're going to bed at night. I can't think of anything better to listen to when you're going to sleep than my voice. So I'm just teasing you guys. So we make it very, very easy. I'm just teasing you. We make it very easy to stay plugged in and to continue to fire and fuel that belief system. And if you have doubts in yourself, if you have doubts in the business model, if you have doubts in anything out there, there's only one thing that can remove those doubts, and it's action. Doubt can only be removed by action. Because when you take action, the doubt starts to go away, because things just start to manifest and things start to happen. And so, when I encourage someone to make a names list, I ask the question, or I would ask all of you the same question: do your friends and family know what you're up to? Because a lot of times we want to hide a little bit from our friends and family. We don't necessarily want them to know that we're doing something else. It's like, oh my gosh, Sarah's doing something else now, right? Or whatever. David's on to something else. We all go through that. I go through that too. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. What matters is that you give them an opportunity to take a look at what it is that you're doing. Because the last thing you were doing, they may not have been interested in. But this one, they may be. Maybe the technology story is the one thing. I can't tell you how many people are on here. I think I saw AC on here earlier, and maybe AC can share it a little bit. I know that AC hasn't been it's Johnny's brother. and he has not gotten involved with Johnny in the past, but for whatever reason, this one resonated with him. And so you just never know. You just have to go out there, and you've got to give everybody the opportunity to see what it is that you're doing, right? It's all about going out and giving your family the opportunity. Where am I at? I keep losing myself. Have you talked to everybody? Perspective. Okay, I've only got a couple slides. So this is the one we must have been on. So anyways, I share that with you because, the people that you really should be starting with, if you really believed that this is a great opportunity, the people that you should be starting with is your friends and your family, right? Do they really know what you're up to? You should be going to your hot market first. Another thing that we need to do a better job of. Sorry guys, my dog's barking. Coco, come here. Come here. Can somebody grab the door for me? So one of the things that we need to do a better job of is when somebody comes into the business, we need to help them go get their 2 right away. We need to get their focus on those first 2 people right away and get them qualified. Success loves speed. And one of the things about going and helping somebody get those first 2 people in the first 24 or 48 hours is that it builds belief. It builds confidence, and confidence leads to competence. And competence is the key to building this business. So when somebody comes into the business, we can't have a casual, relaxed attitude. We've got to be helping them and say, okay, listen, you've just signed up. Here's what I want you to do. Over the next 24, 48 hours, I want you to get me on the phone with at least 3 or 4 people. And I'm going to tell you a process of how you can do that in just a moment. And I want you guys to teach this to your team members. But the key is they're going to have a lot more success going to their mother, their brother, their sister, their cousin, their aunt, their uncle, those people, then they're going to talking to even warm market or especially cold market. And it's funny to me, whenever somebody says, they want to start, but they don't necessarily want to go talk to their warm market, I'm always like, or even their hot market or their friends or their family, I always just kind of think, gosh, I mean, if you don't even want to talk to your family about this, then what makes you think that you'd be able to convince somebody that's a complete stranger to do this business? So it all comes back to belief. And if you truly have that belief that this is the vehicle that's going to take you from where you are to where it is that you want to go in life, you would want to give everybody that you know an opportunity to take a look at this. You got to change your perspective. You're not going to call them to try and sell them a helo, and you're not going to call them and try and convince them to join a business. You're going to call them and you're going to give them an opportunity to be able to take a look at what it is that you're doing. That is it. So let's talk about that for a moment. How do you do that? How do you go about that? Well, if I start, if I make this list, and I did, and I make this huge names list, what I do is I segment that list. I always, I ended up with almost 300 people on the list. I'm still adding to it now. And then I segment it, and I start with my hot market. My hot market was my dad. My hot market was my brother. My hot market is my friends that I see all the time, my family members. And for them, you know what? I don't even, some of them I did text, but some of them I picked up the phone, and I was just like, hey, Mike, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video to watch. As soon as you've watched it, I want you to call me. I want to tell you about this. He's like, okay, cool. So what I'm doing is I'm conveying a sense of urgency. I love what Jim Rohn says. This is one of my favorite quotes. Without a sense of urgency, desire loses its value. So you've got to learn how to convey a sense of urgency. With your texting, you got to have some exclamation points in there. But again, I didn't even necessarily go through the process with my hot market, the really close friends, and say, hey, look, would you take a look at a 3-minute video and tell me what your opinion is? Look, we all have these close buddies and these close friends and close family members that we can call and say, look, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video. I want you to watch it, and I want you to call me as soon as you're done so that we can talk about this. So that's where your newbies are going to have the most success initially. And if you're still trying to become a team builder and get your first 2 people, that's where you're going to have the most success as well, is reaching out to your hot market. Your hot market are the people that could walk into your house right now, walk in the front door, walk up to the refrigerator, grab a soda, sit down on the couch, and you wouldn't look at them like they're crazy. And I know that sometimes we get a little bit nervous about, okay, what's my brother going to think of me, or my dad going to think of me now, or but you know what? It doesn't matter. You got to separate yourself from that. You got to just say, at the end of the day, is my dream important enough? Was my goal important enough? If it is, I'm going to give them a chance to see what it is that I'm doing. You guys, I've been in this industry 12 years. My dad has never once done anything that I've ever done in network marketing. When I made my first when I made a lot of money, let's put it that way, when I had made 7 figures in this industry, do you know what my dad said to me? He says, man, I'm so awesome, the success that you've had. Could you imagine what you could have accomplished if you went to college? My dad actually said that to me. He just doesn't get it, right? We still joke. Even after this, after multiple 7 figures in this industry, my dad still tells me, you know what, you need to go get a real job. That's just, he's old school. So how do you think I felt about approaching him? But you know what I did? I said, look, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video. I want you to take a look at it. I want you to call me as soon as you're done. I want to talk to you about it. Do you know what he said to me? This was a text. I texted him that. He responded to me and he says, Travis, this is a very interesting product. Call me in the morning. I want to be involved. Do you guys realize, like, after 12 years, that's what my dad said to me. So we all have those close friends, family members, and I promise you, some of you are on here right now have not reached out to them. And you know what? They're the ones that you've got the most influence over. You call them up, hey, Mike, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video to watch. As soon as you've watched it, I want you to call me, and I want to tell you about this. Okay? So again, once you've done that, let me look what's happened in the chat. Okay. So next, from there, what happens is now my objective is to follow up and get them, it's bugging me, it's not centered, to get them to the overview. So I kind of like to use an old Jim Rohn classic, especially with people that I know or I'm friends with. Hey, Steve, let me ask you a question. Let me frame this. So I call my brother Mike. Hey, Mike, listen, I'm going to send you a 3-minute video. I want you to watch this, and when you're done, I want you to call me. So he calls me, he says, okay, I watched it. So what's up? Mike, let me ask you a question. Are you making more money than you can spend right now? And I like, are you making more money than you can spend? And he's like, well, no. I mean, I've never had anybody in asking them that question, you guys, that goes, yeah, you know what, I am. I'm making so much money, I don't even know where to spend it all. Never had anybody say that to me before. So I always like to ask that question because I think it's just kind of a casual, comfortable question that you can ask that gets people to kind of, no, I'm not. And then from there, you just say, well, let me ask you, are you open to making more money? Pretty simple question, right? Now, some people might go, it depends, or yes, but I've never had somebody go, no, not open to making any more money right now, right? So again, are you open to making more money? Because the reason I ask is because I have come across what I believe to be an excellent income opportunity. And Paul, it doesn't matter to me if you choose to get involved. It only matters to me that you take a look. Because the last thing that I want for you to say is, why didn't you tell me about this a year from now? Right? I'm conveying value. I'm conveying a little bit of urgency here. And also, I'm giving them an out up front. I love to say that. Another one that I love to say, and I was trying to prepare this. I didn't have enough time to prepare all the scripts that I wanted on here. But another one that I love to say is, hey, listen, Steve, for every 10 people that I show this to, 7 say yes and 3 say no. It doesn't matter to me which side of the fence that you fall on. The only thing that matters is that you take a look. Because the last thing that I want is for you to come back and a year from now say, why didn't you tell me about this? And then you go into the if I would you. If you guys haven't, if you're new to the industry and you haven't read a book called Go Pro by Eric Worre, order it today. It's probably $7, on Amazon. It'll be there in the next 24 hours, and dive into it. You absolutely should read it. From there, you go right into the classic 4 words, the if I would you. Hey, listen, if I send over a pre-recorded call, will you listen to it and tell me what you think? If I send you a link to a private invitation-only meeting happening online this evening, will you listen to it and let me know what you think? If I send you a pre-recorded business overview, will you watch it and let me know what you think? Right? If I would you, I'm suggesting that I'm not going to even send it unless you agree to do something in return. Psychologically, that actually builds value in what it is that you have in your hand. If you and I were face-to-face with each other and I came out and I go to hand you something, and you go, what happens naturally? You reach out to grab it, but if I don't give it to you, what's happening is I'm implying that this is very important. It's the same thing when we're talking about here. So this process, let's recap real quickly. What have I done? Hey, Mike, listen, I'm going to send you a video. I need you to watch it, and I want you to call me as soon as you're done. Dude, what is it? Like, what is it? You know what? I don't even have time to get into it right now. Just watch it. Call me as soon as you're done. Okay, I watched it. What is this? Listen, let me ask you a question, Mike. Are you making more money than you can spend right now? Haha, I'm not. Okay, cool. Listen, are you open to making more money? Yeah, I'm always open to making more money. Great. Listen, the reason I ask is because I've come across an excellent opportunity. And Mike, it doesn't matter to me if you choose to get involved, but it does matter that you take a look, because the last thing that I want is for you to come back a year from now and say, why didn't you tell me about this? So let me ask you, if I were to send over a pre-recorded call, will you listen to it and tell me what you think? Yeah, I can do that. You guys see that I mean, I made it very casual, very easy. I'm not throwing up on them. I'm not going into the helo. I'm not going into the background of the company. And I'm giving you this because some of you have been using the scripts and some of you are not getting the same responses as others. Like, I had a huge response from those scripts. I sent out those scripts and people watched the videos and I had great responses. I've had some of you come back and, I'm just not getting people to go past first base, or I'm struggling with them. So I'm giving you some different options. The other thing that you have to understand about recruiting is one size doesn't fit all. This is where the skills come in. You got to start learning some skills, and you got to learn how to read people and learn what works in certain situations. And that's why we're doing this huddle today. So if I would you, very powerful tool. Now let's say that, Sarah comes back and she says, yeah, I'll take a look at it. Does it mean that she's going to look at it? No. In fact, there's only about a 20% chance that she's going to look at it. So what do I have to do to get her up? I have to always confirm. So then I say, okay, Sarah, cool, thanks. When do you think you might be able to watch it? And Sarah says, well, I could watch it tonight when I get off work. Now, I don't suggest a time for her. I don't say, well, do you think you could watch it by tonight? I just say, when do you think you could watch it? She could say, well, Friday afternoon when I have a day off, I could watch it. I don't suggest anything. Okay, cool. So if I called you on Saturday morning, you will have had a chance to watch it then? Or if I called you tonight, you will have had a chance to watch it then? Yes. As what I'm doing is, I'm getting him to say yes several more times. When I say, when do you think you could watch it? And he says tonight, he goes from 20% to 40% that he could watch it. I say, okay, great. So if I called you tonight, will you have had a chance to watch it? He says yes. Now he's at 60%. Great. What time should I call you? I don't know, 8 o'clock works. Okay, great. Boom. Now there's an 80% chance he's going to do it. Why? Because he's got a scheduled appointment in his mind. You have a time to follow up with them. You have a set appointment. Think about this. If you're a network marketing professional, what do professionals do? They set appointments. So now you have a set appointment to follow up at 8 o'clock after they've watched the presentation. You've got them on second base. And what you have to understand is that the process is what builds the value. Some of you are saying, and people are like, oh, they just think it's too expensive or this or that, or, it's because you got to understand it's the process of watching a 3-minute video, getting on a presentation, hearing about the timing and the app store and all of these different things that builds the value in their mind before ultimately, and remember, dollars always follow value. Finally, last thing, and then we're going to wrap it up, is warm market tips. Couple things. So once we've gone through hot market, and remember, again, the objective when I bring somebody new in is I want to help them go get there too. How are we going to help them get there too? The people that the closest people to them. How are we going to get them to do it? With the strategy that I just gave you. Just get them to get in front of the 3-minute video. You can do it with a text. You can do it in person. Doesn't matter to me. Get them in front of the 3-minute video without saying too much. When they follow up, very important, get on the phone with them. They got to hear your excitement and your enthusiasm. You got to have a conversation with them. You can try and do it with text, but your numbers are going to go way down trying to get them to second base. Hey, Paul, do you have a minute? After he responds with his feedback, I call him right away. He picks up, hello, hey, Paul, listen, thanks for the feedback. Let me ask you a question. Are you making more money than you can spend right now, Paul? No? Are you open to making more money right now? Okay, great. Listen, I've come across a pretty exciting business opportunity. And you know what? It doesn't matter to me, Paul, if you choose to get involved or not, but it does matter that you at least take a look. Let me ask you a question. If I sent over a pre-recorded business overview that was done last night that explains things in greater detail, would you watch it? Let me know what you think. Paul just said, yes, you guys. I got him there. See, that's it. Now, some tips. Ask for a small favor first when you go into warm market. If you're using our texting scripts, make sure that you ask for a favor first. Why? Because people are more willing to respond when you ask for help. I've had some people that came to me and they've said, well, I've sent out a bunch of them and no one responds. Well, part of that is you got to start first by, hey, look, hey, John, I need a favor and I was hoping you might be able to help. Can you text me back when you get a minute? Now, when John texts me back and says, sure, what's up? Then I come in and say, hey, I'm looking at a technology company. The stock's climbing through the roof. I think there's some money to be made here. Would you be willing to watch this 3-minute video and tell me if you or anybody that you know could use a product like this? They're going to be more likely at that point because they already agreed to help you out than if you just do that. Number 2, never send an unsolicited link. Never send the link to somebody first. Do never, ever, ever, ever put that link in the initial contact that you send to somebody. Never send an unsolicited link. Why? Because asking for them, if I would you, builds the value first. And an unsolicited link comes across as a sales pitch and they're going to tune you out. Number 3, get on the phone with them after they provide you with feedback. It works better. And number 4, guys, one side doesn't fit all. You got to use your flavor flav. You got to add your own little personality to this, your own conversations to this before, just make it your own. Just don't change the concepts or the dynamics. So with that, I'm going to go, Sarah, if you don't mind. Sarah's on fire right now, and I just want to call on you, Sarah, and you, Johnny, right after this here in a moment, and just share your best tip or what you would want everybody to know about that's helping you right now just continue the momentum. So with that, Sarah, you're unmuted.
Their computer, your username, right? .worldgen.com.
No, because I won. The website had to be.
Oh, Sarah's you know what? That's funny. Sarah's actually recruiting somebody right now. That's awesome. So we'll come back to Sarah in a minute. So Johnny, are you on the line? If you are, do you mind just sharing your best tip with everybody or any thoughts that you have?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go for it.
Awesome. So I think the best tip I have, which you already went over, is getting them on the phone and letting them feel that energy, hear your voice, keeping it simple. Don't throw up all this information on them, and just share the basics with them. But I really think getting on the phone is super important. And, I was on fire yesterday, and I'm still continuing, but yesterday was a really good day. And I've got people that are like, oh, how are you doing this? How are you recruiting? Like that quick. And you guys, you have to remember, you have to start where you are. Like, I've been in the industry, and so I hold that, I hold a little credibility and a little more trust than someone just coming in, because a lot of people have a bad rap for network marketing. But when you've had a little success in it, and they have that belief in you, they trust you just a little bit more. But don't let that stop you from sharing this opportunity. Like, you'll earn it, and they're just going to keep watching you to make sure you're going to stay with it and put the time in. And I know, I've just been going a couple weeks, and I know the next, even 30 days from now, when my people that, were like, I can't believe you left this, when they see that I am being successful and I'm still doing the same thing, I know I'm going to catch a huge momentum just from the consistency. And so just don't compare yourself, and really start where you are, and don't be afraid to ask any questions, because no question is a stupid question. Like, we all have to learn somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. Paul, to answer your question, yes, if they say no, thank them for their time and just move on, cross them off the list. Johnny just made such a great point. Johnny said, don't compare yourself. And the truth is that credibility, think about where credibility comes from. I mean, it comes from being somewhere for a longer period of time, doing something for a longer period of time. If I came into some of your fields professionally, I would have zero credibility. Nobody would listen to me either. It takes a little bit of time and persistence. And that's why, as you really strive to, and that's why we encourage everybody in these 2-week cycles to run for their next rank, because as you hit your next rank, if you go from, nothing to team builder, and then team builder to gold, and gold to whatever, every time you do a little bit more, you gain a little bit more credibility. And then as we recognize you on your personal wall and people see that, your credibility goes up in their eyes. And so some of you have to build that credibility, and that's a process, and that takes time. So don't feel frustrated if all of a sudden you're great at this business over here, and then you come over here and it's like, gosh, I just can't, this isn't working, or nobody's interested in this. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to build credibility, but you have to stick with it. The thing that hurts your credibility is to think that it's the company that's not working, and then to go jump to something else and then just start all over again. You got to stick with it and start getting a little bit of getting some notches on your belt. So thank you, Johnny. Those were some great tips. Sarah, are you available at all? I think Sarah might be recruiting or talking to somebody, so that's okay. We'll circle back around. Is there any questions? Mr. Richie Hood, Diamond Richie Hood joined us. Richie, do you have anything you want to add at all?
I took a couple of notes just thinking through this a minute ago. One of the things I would say is no's often mean not yet. So don't lose heart just because somebody says no. The yeses build your businesses, and the no's build you. So keep that in mind. Less is more. Just let the tools work your way through the process, and definitely show your excitement about this through your voice, through your social media, through every aspect of that you can. Just show the excitement, and it will attract people. I've got people reaching out to me after they've sit and watched me for the last couple of weeks. Reached out to a guy today, and he said, I've been sitting back watching you for the last 4 weeks. I was wondering what you were doing, and I was wondering if you would reach out to me or if I needed to reach out to you. So it's definitely grabbing hold.
Awesome. All right, guys, anybody have anything that they want to add? Anything that's working for them? Any comments, suggestions, thoughts, feedback, questions at all that they want to add? Feel free to unmute.
Hey, it's Johnny again. I'm just going to add to what I said.
Mm-hmm.
With us having a little bit of that credibility, you guys, that's where Travis is saying, don't be afraid to get on a 3-way call. Like, when you have the power of 3 is huge. And when you don't have that credibility, borrow our belief and let us instill that in your people and in you. Don't be afraid to do a 3-way.
Great thoughts, you guys. And anybody can do a 3-way, just so you guys know. The power of a 3-way is not necessarily in what's said. It's you sharing your just a third-party validation of how excited you are for the opportunity and where you're going with this. That's the magic. So it doesn't necessarily just have to be me or one of the leaders on the call. It can be really, anybody that gets a 3-way call. Your job is really just to ask a few questions about the person and what's important to them, and then, tell them why you're excited about this opportunity. So 3-way calls, it's all about that third-party validation. Let's see here. Anything else? Any other questions? No? All right. Well, listen, I hope you guys enjoy the new huddles. Paul, thank you. I appreciate that. We want to get in front of you a little bit more as we're going throughout the week. And, I can kind of take temperature on what's happening and then maybe pop on and do a huddle quickly and just share some information and some thoughts with that. So yes, it's being recorded and we'll get it loaded. I know I got like 4 or 5 things to upload from.
Hey, Travis.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I missed the whole thing. Can we start over? I'm just kidding.
That's gotta be Aaron. I love it. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Awesome. I'll get this loaded pretty quickly so we can get it up. I know some people are asking for last night's Zoom, and I'll see if I can get that loaded. Janet, yours is being loaded today as well. So we'll get these out to everyone. Hope you guys are having a great day today. Let's go rock and roll. Keep the momentum alive. Keep the fire going. And if you've got something positive happening, be sure to share it with the team in the WhatsApp group. If you guys are not part of that WhatsApp group, make sure that you join the WhatsApp chat group. And with that, thanks everybody. You guys have a great day today. We'll talk to you soon. Big presentation tonight, by the way. Melanie Greengal is the one doing the overview tonight. So Melanie's awesome. Get your people in front of her tonight. That's at 6 Pacific, 9 Eastern Standard Time on the main team and the main team Zoom room. Talk to you guys later.